Research.
Hey everybody, welcome back. This week we are going to start a new little series on the XLS Encore, and we're going to go through an entire build process. We're going to look at the cabinets, how to install no-res in the cabinets, how to damp the inside, the insulation that would be needed. Then we're going to go right into crossover assembly and go step by step through the whole assembly process so you guys can see just how easy it is to put a set of these things together. I've had a lot of people asking about them. Everybody keeps posting and asking when you're going to do a video build on the XLS Encore. Here it is, folks, and we're going to start with the cabinets. As you can see, I got a pair of cabinets here that were some of the cabinets that Peter Rawlings offers. These are some of his flat packs, and I took the flat pack and I just sent it home with Killian. Killian works for me here at GR Research, and he assembled the pair. It was pretty easy to assemble, nothing to it. Peter makes it real easy. All the braces are all drop into the CNC area. Then I handed Killian some Durtex, which we offer also. It is the easiest and simplest way to coat a speaker as far as any kind of finish you can put on it. It's super easy. The Durtex just rolls on. It covers up all the seams. 2 coats of Durtex and you're done. This one we use what we call the plastic bag technique, where after you roll it on, you take crumpled up plastic shopping bags and you just press it down into the Durtex, and it gives it a texture that is very much like stone, or kind of a leathery look. I don't know if you can really tell from the picture. And then I handed Killian some paint. Actually, I let him pick out paint and said, what do you think of this and that? And decided this Fusion Krylon paint would work fine. This is metallic black stainless. It has a look a little bit like a metallic dark charcoal or something. He felt like that would be a good color for our little demo speaker, so I said, yeah, go for it. As you can see, it is a little bit of a kind of a metallic-y look, kind of a glittery texture. It's easy to spray on. You can use any color paint you want. You can spray right over the top of Durtex. Durtex paints really well, so anytime you want to do a quick and easy coating on your speakers, roll them in Durtex, paint them any color you want, you're done. Really easy. Next thing I want to talk about is damping material. And of course, we always recommend lining them with no-res. This is no-res. It's very different from other types of materials that are out there that are offered for loudspeakers. There's a lot of material out there that is really not very effective at resonance control. No-res is the only product out there that really addresses cabinet resonance control. It has a 70 mil thick damper on the back side of it. It has a pressure sensitive adhesive, so you just peel and stick to put this inside the cabinet. Then there's a 1-inch foam layer that helps absorb the standing waves in the box. So the damper goes straight against the interior panel, and it attacks any cabinet wall resonance that's there. It really damps that stuff out. A lot of those other products out there, like Sonic Barrier and stuff, really aren't designed for this application. It has a foam layer and a suspended barrier layer, and then another foam layer, which would be good for soundproofing. If you're trying to keep sound from passing from one side to another, that'd be great. But there's no damper there to dampen the cabinet walls. So it doesn't really improve any resonance that might be there, or it's not going to damp out any resonance that's there. So it's not very effective in that regard. And then if you completely line the cabinet with it, the suspended barrier layers tend to mass load the driver. In other words, the driver puts pressure in the box and the barrier layers will move, and then that movement then affects the movement of the cone. It's kind of like adding a passive radiator inside the speaker. The audible effect is it tends to muddy the mid-range. Always right in the mid-range, it tends to muddy those things up. So don't put that stuff in your speakers. And no-res is the only product designed specifically for those applications. So go with the no-res. So if you put no-res in the cabinet, the other thing we want to tell you is you still want to add some loose polyfill or fiberglass. I like fiberglass myself. A lot of people don't like it. It's itchy. They don't want to get it on their hands. But it's really not that bad. If you have a preference for polyfill, for that reason. Polyfill still works fine, but what you'll want to do is put a loose fill of fiberglass insulation or polyfill just in this area right behind the woofer, just a little bit. The no-res is going to do the rest. You've completely covered the cabinet with no-res. That's going to, like I said, attack the resonance issues, and it's going to, with the foam layer, it's going to absorb some of those standing waves in the box. A frequently asked question about no-res is, does it take up space in the box? No, it doesn't take up space in the box. The reason it doesn't is kind of twofold. One, there is a barrier layer here, or not a barrier layer, there is a damping layer here that does take up airspace. I mean, it is a dense damper. But the foam layer counteracts it. When you add something like open cell foam to the cabinet, what it does is it slows down the airflow in the box, and it makes the box act as if it's larger. So the two counter each other out, and it doesn't take up any airspace. It's somewhat airspace neutral. I put it in, measure it with an impedance sweep, look at the tuning frequency, do the same before putting it in, and it's pretty much a wash. So it's not taking up airspace. Now, what do you do if you're not using no-res? Let's say you're just doing a complete budget build. You're putting these things in your garage, your home theater, as rear surrounds. You don't really want to go the extra mile. You just want to line it with some polyfill. What you'll want to do is completely line the inside of the box with polyfill or fiberglass insulation. Cover each wall just like you would with no-res. Take about a 1-inch packed layer, maybe 1.5-inch thick packed layer, and fill the whole inside of the box, leaving kind of an open cavity behind the woofer in this area here, and then put a very light amount, very loose fill, right behind the woofer in the back half of the box. Always want to be sure and leave a clean path from the woofer to the port in the back. You don't want to obstruct the flow of air through the box. You want to always have that clean passage so that the port is actually going to do its thing. You never want to just put it together with nothing. And I've had one guy say recently, well, it didn't specify on the website how much insulation to put in, or to put in insulation if you're not using no-res, so I guess that means it doesn't need any. Now all speakers need some type of insulation inside, some type of polyfill. You want to be able to absorb those standing waves in the box. Otherwise, the higher frequencies that the woofer can actually produce right before the crossover point are short enough to begin to propagate within the box. So they'll propagate within the box, and they'll come back onto that woofer, and you'll see the woofer then is being affected by the back wave. So if you look at an impedance sweep with nothing in the box, you'll see a little resonance somewhere there in that range right before the crossover point, where that stuff's reflected through the box and came back out. You might even see something in the lower range down by the port tuning, possibly, just from the pressure in the box bouncing around in the box. You always want to have insulation in a box with any speaker that you build. That's a given. So I'll try to specify on the new website that we're working on a lot of those little details, because I know I've got some newbies that are doing this for the first time. But for all you guys out there that have been doing this for a while, you all know you're going to need to put some insulation in the box. So next step, I'm going to go cut some no-res, and we're going to line the whole inside of these with some no-res and check that out, and I'll show you how easy it is to put the no-res in. And then we're going to go right to the assembly of the crossover, which is very easy for this model, and I'll show you kind of step by step how to put it together, how to read the diagram, how simple it is. So that's next. So hang in there for the next segment.